Very good, folks. It is now 6 o'clock. I will open up the meeting. Welcome any and all visitors and welcome any public comment one would like to make, just a comment that is unrelated toward any of our agenda items. None being seen, Scott, let's ask if there's any changes to the agenda.
I have two changes. One is that you may have noticed in your packet for the minutes of March 28th, that was the hearing. We missed all the people who were present, and that has now been added into the minutes that you're going to sign. In addition to that, if we could just move the school board vacancy from number 6 just below number 2.
Just below 2. Okay, so you want me to do the minutes of the ordinance? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of March 18th. We can't do them both together because John wasn't here for the hearing.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 18th.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of March 18th, 2025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. All right, I'll also entertain now a motion for the 28th, and that was our hearing last Friday.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 28th.
All right. Second. All right, we have a motion, a second to approve the minutes, 28th of March. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Opposed? No, no more opposing. Municipal. Okay, so what we're going to do, folks, we're going to jump down to number 6 on your play card here. And we're going to talk about the school board vacancy. Christy, do you want to come up and sit here at the table?
Sure.
If you wouldn't mind, you think you got to push the button on the microphone too, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Terrific. Just absolutely doesn't get any better than this.
Okay.
All right. So I did notice, I read your minutes from the 25th of March.
Yes.
Whereby your entire board is very high on this gentleman, John Heckle.
Yes.
Okay, he's going to volunteer. Hope he has an extra layer of skin.
Yeah.
To go on the board.
Yes.
I will say this, I don't know John Heckle. All right, is that the gentleman here? John? John, I just so that you know, and I can tell this because it's a public documents. There were a number of write-ins for you over town meeting. Okay, except they were all over the place. Okay, you know, I think they wanted you to be the education czar or something. I'm not really sure exactly what they had you down for. Sheriff, they had you down for everything. Okay, I just want to let you know. But obviously, you've all spoken with John.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did an interview at our last meeting. We sent a letter, which I think was forwarded on
We
to
have
all
it.
of you with expressing his interest. That seat's been open for a while now. I think it's almost 2 years. So we're just happy to have a full board and a new person to bounce ideas off of. So we'd like your support. I know the statute's not really clear on how this process is supposed to work. When we've done it in Whitingham, they've just said appoint and then let us know, and we'll, if we have any concerns, we'll bring them to you. And so that's how we've done it with Whitingham in the past, but this is the first time that I've had to do it with you.
Well, just so that you know too, I mean, obviously it's a procedural thing. Obviously, we're going to go along with anything the board wants to do.
Okay.
And that's why I actually checked your minutes
Okay.
that were posted online.
Yes.
And yes, they were all in agreement. So I don't see why we would not do it.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Again,
thank you.
I don't know John. All right, John, have you lived here a long time?
I lived here. Can we get you to come so we get, because we're recording, that's all, John. Thank you. And then anybody.
And John, and just for the sake of it, only because there's confusion in my mind about the spelling of your last name. Okay, and is it Heckle?
Heckle, like Heckle and Jekyll.
Heckle and Jekyll, okay, but it's not spelled like Heckle and Jekyll.
No.
There's no crows.
That
in
I
it,
that I can't
magpies.
explain.
Okay, so it's Haeckel.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And John, you're taking this of your own willing and accord, correct?
Yes.
Right. Now, is it just a 1 year?
I think it's the balance of
Okay.
a 1 year remaining on a 3-year term. So
Okay.
he would have to run again in March of next year.
Well, it's very unusual. We have somebody that come in here the school board especially, and be that psyched up for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
we're
gentlemen,
excited.
anyone like to ask John a question?
Thanks for coming in.
I keep on thinking, all we want to do is sit here and say thank you. Thank you. Okay.
You had asked how long I've been here. I've lived here full-time now for 5 years.
5 years,
My,
okay.
my wife grew up here, graduated from the high school, went to the middle school.
Oh, really?
I lived in her family home up off of Shearer Hill. She spends most of her time as a lawyer in New York. I have historically worked with dairy farmers, and there aren't many dairies in Manhattan.
Less
Yeah,
and less
yeah.
here too.
Yeah. I think Manhattan has fewer than even we have here at this point. Oh, very good. What's your wife's maiden name?
Bouchard, Asha Bouchard.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. So anyway, would somebody like to, if there's no other questions, would somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the suggested appointment from the Unified Union School Board to appoint John Hakel to the school board for the remainder of the term.
Second.
All right, we have motion and second to appoint John Heckle to the school board. That's the Twin Valley Middle
Yeah.
High School School Board for the remainder of the term. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hey, John, we thank you for doing this. For
Thank you.
Thanks for
stepping in.
coming in, folks.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you all.
Have a nice day.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks again.
Hey, good night. Okay, folks, so we're gonna jump down now to the regular order, the municipal ordinance. All right, that's housekeeping, is it not, Scott?
Yeah.
We do
The
that every year?
select board, no, you don't do this every year. The
No, we don't?
So we're in the process, Christine, myself, and Jess are in the process of identifying policies that we either don't have or we should clean up based on the practices that, we've been working with since I've been here. So this happens to be a I believe we're replacing the town-owned land guidelines that were originally approved by Select Board in May 15th of 2013. This is, we're using the Vermont League of Cities and Towns outline. And of course, we're identifying those areas that we have found helpful when we are selling properties that belong to the town. So you could see there's an outline. It talks about essential public use properties, town buildings, public safety facilities, infrastructure, conservation lands, and environmentally protected areas. And those are called essential public use. The strategic retention would be sites that we feel we should retain for possible public buildings or services, properties reserved for open or flood mitigation, land parcels suitable for controlled future development, and then surplus properties that we essentially try to sell every year or every few years, and that are properties with no foreseeable municipal use that may be eligible for sale or transfer. So any properties that we have acquired through tax foreclosure, underutilized land that does not serve a defined public purpose, which we've sold this past year, and buildings or parcels suitable for private redevelopment. In general, the policy is 2 pages long, but in the end, of course, what we have been doing and what is essential that we do is that the select board approve any of these kinds of sales or transfers. And this particular policy gives select board, I think, an adequate, it also incorporates statute, but it also gives you an adequate amount of discretion.
Okay. All right. Any questions, folks?
It starts today, correct?
Sorry?
Starts today?
As soon as you
As soon as
sign
we
it,
sign it.
Yep.
With that in mind, would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to approve the proposed municipal property policy.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the proposed municipal property policy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Scott,
Would you like to go into the sewer commission?
let's do this. Let's move to go into the sewer commission. All right, you have a second? Second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
John, how are you?
Yourself?
Terrific.
I believe you guys have this out, the application, this is for 29 Ray Hill Road.
Mhm.
They're demolishing the garage, rebuilding it and putting in 2 apartments with 3 bedrooms.
Where is 29?
It's the Regan house.
Oh, it is? Okay, all right.
They're demolishing the garage?
Yep, I believe got all their local permits, I believe already
If
for
you want to drop it off at my house, I'll take it.
you can stop in if you want. I don't know if they've started yet or not.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So I need a motion for 420 gallons for preliminary approval for 29 Ray Hill Road.
All right, listen, I will, I'll make that motion. I move that we approve preliminary allocation for a 3-bedroom house of 420 gallons per day. It's located at 29 Ray Hill Road. All right. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, John.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Okay, folks, we're coming out of the sewer commission. In fact, we are out of the sewer commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Scott, let's go to the,
Under tax stabilization, Gretchen is here, I believe, with Melissa. The select board to possibly approve a tax stabilization application for Supergirl LLC at 157 Route 100.
So thank you for this opportunity. I just wanted to give a little bit of overview about tax stabilization policy for John because he's new. I'm not sure if you had a chance to read the policy over.
I have.
You have,
actually.
okay. Did you have any questions?
I do not,
Okay.
not about the policy.
Right, so, and just so that you know that there is an agreement that is signed by the property owner afterwards. And it does have a transferable piece to it. So if somebody sells their property, it comes back to the board and that new property owner can just keep going with it if it's within the same keeping of the business. And I just wanted to update the full board on that there is some, and interesting for you, Melissa, as well, that the state is working on regulation because it's just on the town tax side. But the state is actually working on some tax stabilization for strictly housing, and that would be forgivable on the education side as well. And of course, that's the bigger tax piece for all property owners is the education.
would that
tax.
come with the education reform that they were talking about? The reason I'm saying that is that went back into committee again, and that means it's going to be dead for the year.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all.
it's, nope, it's more on the housing side.
Okay, all
Of
right.
it, so, but of course, they do have to talk to the education department about how they're gonna handle that, so. But housing is needed for teachers and, so it does kind of make sense.
You're saying this is a current bill?
Yes,
It made-
it was there
did it
last
make-
year too, but it didn't
And
quite,
it made crossover?
you know what, I don't know, because,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yep.
So I can't confirm that, but I think, yes, it did, because I just read another thing about it this week. So they would not be reporting on it if it didn't make crossover, so it definitely is a crossover. So, So, we have, in front of us, a tax stabilization request for Supergirl LLC, which is the old, CNS building. Melissa, did you want to say something?
Go
about-
ahead,
yeah,
you're doing
like-
great.
Right, okay.
One question. What about the third building that's been really redone very nicely, by the way?
Thank you. So what's your question?
Do you own that too?
Yeah,
It is, okay.
that's the first one that I,
Right, that's what I thought, and I didn't see that mentioned here, you're not
So
going to
that's a
use that.
separate parcel,
Okay, all right.
and that was completed several years ago.
a couple
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
like
Right.
during COVID, right after, like somewhere in that time.
Okay.
So, as you can see, there's a little, this is a little bit more complicated than ones that have just one building on the site and the whole building is being renovated. This one particularly has two buildings, on one parcel. And the Cup and Saucer building is not being renovated, it's just the, CNS building, into housing. I have worked with Sarah in the assessor's office regarding how we can make this work. And she has worked with NEMRIC system, trying to figure out a way to automatically have it happen. And it can't, she would have to go in every year and put it into the system manually. And let's see. Also, usually you start these applications before you start any construction. And that's part of our policy. However, in speaking with Sarah at the assessor's office, there has been no assessor going out and looking at the property and changing the value since the reevaluation. So I think that we're still in that timeframe that works, because it hasn't been touched since the reevaluation. The next piece that is, and then what has been done in construction and constructed within the building is basically framing. It was gutted, insulated, framed, and that's it. No flooring, no utilities. No sheetrock has been put up, or any like bathroom facilities have been put in yet. So. Did you have
Basically a shell right
Well, I mean, once we gutted the property, realized that we had to start over, so it's been from the sills up, so replacing the sills, and it's a huge project. So, yeah, moving forward. There has been, like, we put down the, what do you call them? The subfloors, like all the bracing underneath, the LVLs and all of that, and the subfloors down. Stuff has been happening, just not, as fast as we would have liked, so. Yeah,
An old building. 5 minutes
It's new
turned into
now.
5 days.
it is new now,
Newer.
yeah. Oh, I wanted to, can I just say something?
Oh, yeah, yes.
So I just wanted to, and in the letter that I did write, it was my understanding that I could rent to somebody because I secured the 10-year forgivable loan from the state of Vermont, that I could only rent up to the, like, 2 people making up to the area, 80% of the area. But my contract does not have that. And I verified it with Paul from VHIP. So I could rent to a teacher. I just can't, I can only charge so much rent, for the 10-year period. So I could rent to whoever I want to rent to, keeping it at the, the rent stabilized at what the state of Vermont dictates. So
Sounds like rent control.
that's what it is.
So VHIP is the Vermont Housing Improvement Program that you get
$200,000 for 50,000 per apartment. But you
New
have to,
apartment.
new apartment. So basically there's a 5-year grant and then you're just committed for 5 years, or there's a 10-year forgivable loan with the state of Vermont. And I chose the 10-year forgivable loan because then I can choose my own tenants and I can rent to people who are here working in the area. That was my goal for that.
Okay.
So the state sets the rent you can charge, or there's a
Correct.
formula?
Yeah,
Whatever they have their formula, but yes, they set that. And like, so it'll be different. If I pay all the utilities, then they pay more rent, or I get less rent and they pay all of their utilities.
So is part of your requirement that it needs to be a long-term rental situation?
Yes, yep. That's the whole purpose of it.
And that's 10 years.
Yep, I opted for the 10-year so that I can
Okay.
choose my own tenants. I'm not renting off their list of people. Not that there's anything wrong with their list of people, but my goal was people who are here to work or, you know,
Right.
live
I
here.
I absolutely commend you for that, and I think that's great. Couple of questions, and this is not a bad thing, just, so how did you find out about this loan?
VHIP?
Yeah,
How did I find out about that? I don't know. I feel like everybody knows about it. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't
Well, I think
remember.
I initially connected
Maybe you
you with
did.
Paul.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Paul from Wyndham Windsor Housing and Trust.
okay,
It's
so that's
who I
really my
remember.
question related to, is the town, Gretchen, doing something to promote this kind of,
Oh, absolutely. And there's another
Okay.
round. So she was in the previous round.
okay?
And so there's another round out. And so we're reaching out. So this is for new and renovations. So you
Okay.
could renovate it. But the key to the renovation, it has to be a vacant apartment now.
Okay.
And
For a
this-
certain amount of time. It's not even that, yes.
And this program initially started during COVID. There were a number of different programs. This happens to be one of them that has survived.
And there's what's his name? Chris Brown.
Chris
Down
Brown.
here on West Main Street. He redid that building and he's doing the same program and he
Okay.
seems to be,
And he also
Feeling
got
like a
tax
successful-
stabilization
yeah.
as well.
So just out of curiosity, not for any other reason, do we know what the cost is for the stabilization? What the difference would be if it wasn't granted?
So if you look at the CNS building
Mhm.
value of $291,720. And let's say the assessors, because we can't determine what the assessors are gonna say the new value would be.
Mhm.
So they assess it, and it becomes a larger number. I don't want to use numbers because it's not appropriate. So her tax is being stabilized on the $291,720. And it incrementally goes up in year,
So we're on the
4.
renovation schedule, is that the schedule, Linda?
I'm sorry?
We're on the renovation schedule, the second?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
So in year 4, so she's gonna pay her town tax on the 291,720.
For the
And-
first 3 years.
And yeah, and we are predicting that the value is gonna be much more than that.
Right.
That's the purpose of entering into tax stabilization. And then it will incrementally go up after that, just on the town tax side.
Is your control of the rent going to compensate for the increase in tax as the years go on?
So I'm not really sure. I think they go up 3% a year, and I don't know.
Are you gonna make money out of this deal? or are you
I'm
just
not
gonna, like,
really, not
break even
after,
or go
not
short?
after what I paid and not after $500,000 in, money and whatever. No, not really. So
It's a long-term investment.
it's a long term, and that's how I looked at it from the beginning, and I chose the 10 years. 10 years is gonna fly by, and it's something that we need, and it was a great opportunity for me, like, who gives you $200,000, to do? So I'm grateful for that, and it's an opportunity for myself and tenants, so.
Well, yeah, but you don't work yourself to the bone paying for something that you're not gonna.
Well,
get
if it can
anything
pay
out of.
for itself, then I'm happy. I have my own job, So, but the big issue here is, what's in question is because they have the restaurant on the same parcel and I don't have, funds to fix up the restaurant. So that's where this becomes, I think, a challenge. I mean, hopefully down the road, I would love to do that, but I can't even think about it right now. I can't breathe right now, so.
One step at a time, that's what you do. How many units you're gonna put into the?
4 units, 4
4
2-bedroom
units, okay.
units. And, I probably could, with the space that's there, I could have probably had more bedrooms or whatever, but I'm hooking it to the well on my little rental property next door. So water was an issue.
Okay,
So that the restaurant can be on a well by itself. So,
you don't have access to town water there?
no, it stopped right before there. I
Really?
do have town sewer and I've already bought all the sewer allocation
Okay.
and done all that ahead of time to make sure that I could get that and permitted the well to be hooked up. Did all that stuff with the state and my engineer, so.
Okay.
Well, before I started.
If we ever get water out there, you interested?
Yes, I would be actually. Why, are you thinking of that?
Well, I'm
surprised-
I'm surprised it's not out there. I
think it literally stops right before there.
Really?
It's probably right before the bridge, right?
At Pete Adams' house, Pete
place,
Adams'
yeah.
old place?
It might be, no, they have a well. So it might be like right before that.
I think it's the little A-frame where the ski shop used to be.
I think
Really?
the water stops right at, what's the road that goes up? I'm drawing a blank right now.
So,
Hill Hill.
Yeah,
But I
Adams
think those
Road?
are two.
Adams, yeah.
Stowe Hill.
Still
Still
helps,
help,
a bigger
yeah.
one.
Oh, still.
Well, there's a pumping station right by the old ski shop, so that could be it.
All right, I'm just curious, all right. Okay.
So and I know there's a great need just from talking with people around town for that type of housing. So where are you drawing your tenants? Just advertising that you have units available or?
Well, I have, my insurance agent would like to rent one. She's actually picked hers out.
Okay.
We found out that there wasn't the
Okay.
restriction on how much she could make. Literally, I
Right.
mean, I'd be responsible with it. I don't think a doctor or a lawyer is gonna want to rent there anyway. But, but I can rent to my insurance agent, teachers, somebody working, like, whoever
A nurse.
applies. Yeah, anybody. Of course, I'll do the same process with everybody, with
You
the-
said there is an income restriction on,
There's not an income restriction. I
yeah.
thought there was, and I wanted to make that correction from the letter that I
Okay.
sent in. Because that's how it read in the VHIP material, but then Paul and I were talking when he came to do, check to see where I'm at from Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust.
Mhm.
And he said, yours does not have that in it, and a lot of them don't. But I just have to, I can't charge whatever I want for rent. That's the stipulation, which is fine. That's the whole goal of the,
Well, you're saying you can't charge whatever you want because the state's gonna tell you what
correct.
to charge. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Somebody like to make a motion?
I shall make a motion to approve a tax stabilization application for Supergirl LLC at 157 Route 100 North.
Second.
All right, we have motion and second to approve the tax stabilization for Supergirl LLC at 157 Route 100 North, which is on the same parcel as the Cup and Saucer. All those in favor say aye.
Before you do that, sorry. I'm just kidding.
Are you already going to put an addendum on this?
Apparently.
Well, so, like, would you like it to go as it's put in here, that it would be just on the CNS building and the assessor would actually go in manually and calculate that?
They're going to have to,
Yeah, okay.
because that's the
That's
property
what I
we're
just want to
talking
make,
about.
I want to make that clear in your motion so that
So what we
when
can,
I go to make the agreement, it's specific.
all right, so we can take the motion and turn around and basically say,
For the CNS building.
Yeah.
You just said for the CNS building. I think.
well, it's, but the CNS is, that's cup and sauce too. So,
We're not
that's
saying
why we have CNS.
as opposed to the restaurant.
Store.
Do 157
Tax
because the restaurant is actually 159 Vermont Route 100.
it's got a
this building's
specific address.
157.
All
All
right.
right, so you're set. You're okay.
Okay, all right. So we won't amend that to specifically say the restaurant's not included. Okay, but that's the intent.
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
intent.
yes.
All right. Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Well, 20 years down the road, and you could not be out of this after 10 years, there'll be another group of people sitting here talking about the same one and go, what the hell did they do with those two buildings? Okay? I could see it coming, okay?
What
But,
do you mean? Wait, I didn't miss.
well,
it.
they're gonna figure out, was that
Why
included?
is
Was
it
that
two parcels?
excluded,
Why is
whatever?
it
Oh,
It's
right.
kind of like we're sitting here with the Lake Raponda Dam, wondering where that came from too.
Right.
But it's one of those things. You look back
So-
through the thing. We just want to make sure it's clear and everything is being
Right.
taped and
Has this,
hopefully.
just a curiosity, has the state told you what the top rent can be?
So I can choose, so I think if I pay the heat and I'm putting in, baseboard hot water and the on-demand, whatever, so it's propane. So, if I pay the heat and the hot water and they pay their own electricity, then I believe it's like $1,400 a month
For
If-
for two
for
bedrooms?
2 bedroom.
Mhm.
If I choose to not, pay that, then it's a little over 1,200 a month for the 2 bedroom.
Well, that's competitive. That's a good deal
Yeah,
for two bedroom.
So you're going with propane over oil?
yes.
Why?
It's better on the environment.
Yes, you can.
It is better. I would have done mini splits, but to do mini splits in that building was just the upfront cost was astronomical and it's not
Okay.
gonna happen.
Not sure.
So that was and spray foam. So they're going to be efficient, HRV system for the circulation of the air. It's gonna be a nice building. Feel free to come and look at it. So,
Or rent.
or rent, yeah.
I look at it every time I go by.
I know. So the outside, has a lot, a little ways to go, but I'll get there. I'm not doing the roof this round, but I will get the roof done. So,
Thank you. Have a good day.
yeah, he's like, shut up, you got what you wanted. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Take care.
Would you like to go on the Cannabis Commission?
I move that we go into the Cannabis Control Commission. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We don't even know who this person is, do we?
The
Nor where they
Cannabis Control Commission to possibly approve a renewal for S 0000111793 outdoor cultivator, tier 1, small cultivator. You will remember that you agreed to this. This is Ian Dyer and Brian Holt company.
And it's a renewal.
It's a renewal.
Okay, so it is a Brian Holt company?
I have
I know we can't ask addresses, I know that.
no, it's Old Forest LLC doing business as, I'm sorry, Owl Forest LLC doing business as Owl Forest. And we don't have any other information for you.
Okay, that's all right.
Chief has already approved it and all that stuff.
It's not an approval by the chief, but there's
Wow.
no derogatory information, if that's what you're asking for.
Yes.
Zoning is fine, yeah.
Okay, all
Am I right?
right. And quite frankly, because it's a cultivator, even I think if we don't approve this, I think the state still gives them a license, okay? I just throw that out to
We
you.
don't have, I don't know why they sent it to us.
I don't know
'cause
why we
don't-
get this either, but that's all right.
But
But I'm
they-
gonna,
they
I
do.
will make the motion. I will make the motion to approve the renewal for S-0000111793 outdoor cultivator tier 1 for a small cultivator. It's called what? Owl Forest LLC?
Owl Forest LLC, yes.
Right, okay. All right, we have a second.
Second.
All right, we have motion second. Approve the cannabis cultivator tier one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We are out of cannabis.
All right, now we're
Would
gonna
you like
move to
go
go into the
liquor?
liquor commission. We'll go in the liquor commission. Can we have a second on that?
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Scott?
A first class and outside consumption renewal for the Village Roost. And there are no issues.
And that's, yeah, this is a renewal.
Yep.
All right, somebody like to make a motion?
Making a motion for a first class and outside consumption renewal for the villagers.
All right, do you have a second?
Second.
All right, motion is second to approve a first-class outside consumption renewal for the Village Roost. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Scott, other business?
I have no other business for you.
Okay, all right, folks, so we'll just write down
Excuse
to,
me, 1 second.
oh, yeah.
I see we have a guest on the screen,
Yes.
Mr. Bullock.
Uh-huh.
Hello, I have
How
nothing
are
to
you?
say. I was here for the school board appointment and decided to stay for the exciting action going on.
That starts next.
Oh, good.
Just wanted to see if you need anything.
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right. So we'll start. John, we'll start with you. Do you have any comments to make?
Just a quick comment. So, and it kind of centers around the tax stabilization we just did. So at the town meeting, we did have the state rep discuss shrinking population in Vermont and how to increase the population. And I know when I came to talk to you guys about the open select board position, one of the items I really wanted to address was trying to promote long-term housing and people moving to Vermont. So moving to Wilmington, not Vermont specifically. And I'm glad to see that Gretchen's saying this is something that's been ongoing with this push to get long-term housing. I just would like the select board to keep an eye on doing something, even if it means taking some money away from promoting visiting Wilmington to promoting living in Wilmington, going forward. I don't think we have a shortage of visitors, but we certainly have a shortage of people living here and a shortage of housing. That is my comment. Yep.
I need Jim over here.
Sorry, I just got the last end of that,
Yeah.
but I wanted you to know that we, the Bytown Marketing Committee also has secured funding through the state of Vermont for a program called Grow Grant. Don't ask me the acronym because I
Okay.
can't remember the full thing, but the key piece is about promoting people to come here and live. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, so workers specifically.
Yeah.
So we have secured funding for that, and we're using some of our digital advertising to promote that piece to specific areas, and I can get you those areas if you would
Okay.
like to know.
I see Jessica Roberts has her hands up. Hand up.
Hi, yeah, and to the same effect, the VHIP program, I've been promoting that strongly in my office, and I wanted to give some results. We have 26 units in Wilmington right now, either being built or built through that VHIP program. So we are moving towards more housing, slowly but surely.
What you're saying, progress is being made, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so just one last thought on that. I know you're talking about workers also, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to attract people like myself who are not looking to work in town, but want to live in town
Mhm.
with better infrastructure, internet connection. I know that's a lot of it out of our control, but that certainly would broaden the tax base and spending long term.
Mhm.
Comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll think about how that's, because I don't know
I mean, I don't want to work in a restaurant here, not that that's a
Yeah.
bad thing, but I already have a job, but I want to live here.
Yeah, and I'm not the marketing guru around this, but I can't remember how much we can drill down to who we are marketing to. But if we can call out for workers or retirees, I'm not sure if we can drill that down that tight, but
I'm not
it'd be
retired
interesting to
yet,
find
for
out.
sure. Thank you.
Thanks, sorry.
That is my comment.
Okay, Tony,
Pass.
Vince?
No.
And I don't have anything either, Scott. I will be at that meeting on Friday, but, all right,
Thank you.
okay.
We'll have lunch or something.
Oh, Christ, I can't wait, okay.
Yes, I got
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I will definitely be at the meeting.
The one I bailed out.
Friday pizza or whatever it is. You might have seen a pothole on the bridge number 31. It occurred in the eastbound lane, in the middle of the road, next to the metal plate that they put in place last year. So it was patched at, I think, March the 21st. I did have a call from VHB, who's helping with the scoping, and we anticipate, I hope, a preliminary scoping report at the same time that it's sent to the state within the next month or two. But they were interested in some information which evidently was not forthcoming at the time that they asked the state. So I told them what we know.
So they're saying a couple months.
For the scoping, I'm saying a couple of months. I'm not getting an exact answer, but it's due anytime now, really. So I think this month or next month, we should see something, I'm hoping. At least we will see the scoping report. Once it goes back to the state, I believe we'll have a visit, another visit from the state
Well, you would have
For-
thought they'd
for
done that
this-
when they put the plate down.
for the select board. What's that?
You would have thought they would have done that when they put the plate down.
A visit? No, this is the
Because-
scoping. This is from the scoping folks.
I know, but I mean, you would have thought that they would have inspected the entire thing. Not just said, oh, that's, whatever. So good.
Only that I haven't heard his name used in vain here in a while. Is Russell retired?
No,
God,
No.
I wish he would.
Yeah.
Wow.
let's move on.
We're not that
East
lucky.
Main Street
Oh,
sidewalk
jeez.
project.
Thought he was ready to go.
I may have mentioned this before, the easements are completed. I remember GMP moved the poles last year. Utility companies are beginning to move cables. Duncan is completed. I'm not sure if anyone else has been there or not.
Yeah, First Light was the next in line.
So
and they
First
have
Light is
been
next.
contacted to begin.
So we're waiting for First Light, and then subsequently, I think, what's the other one there?
A CCI.
Yeah.
Or Fidian.
So currently, the project, I believe, is going to state review. I think that's where we're at next.
Okay.
And
Oh, something about Gretchen got the grant that she was looking for us. It was
Did they
approved.
cover the whole thing?
It was,
yeah, we don't have to cut the project back.
it was approved.
Nice.
So we're just verifying our match right now to be sure.
$218,000.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, to be sure that, I think we have all the matches, but we're gonna verify that we do. If not, we'll be back to ask for a little bit more money for that. But at this point, it does look like
It's encouraging.
it
Very
should, it
encouraging.
should occur. Remember the complicated, and this is for John, I'm not sure how much I've mentioned this, the complicated factor here besides the poles is that there's, I think, 6 houses that are going to be redirected in terms of the sewer. So currently the pipes go through all the houses, and we're going to straighten that out and correct that issue along there. That was there's one of 3 areas that were cited in our initial preliminary report that began much of this back in 2017.
17.
Wow.
There's been multiple
changes.
changes in property owners and trying to get easements on all of those properties.
So engineering is a little bit more than we had anticipated to begin with, and of course we're
And
into
COVID.
COVID, new construction outlook and things of that nature. On April the 14th at 2 p.m., Fitzgerald Engineering and the state will meet with Tom, Vince, Marshall, and me. It's a Zoom meeting for the final stormwater master plan and conceptual designs. So their deliverables, I think they were choosing roughly about a half a dozen sites that they're going to work on. So those deliverables are nearing completion, and they'll be sharing them next week. So this is, we're getting closer to what they feel that they can do, and then I think there's grant money that's coming for this. Remember, this is the stormwater master plan. We were selected as a town. This is a grant that the state is managing. Historic buildings that we own. Let's talk about Town Hall. We are seeing damage to 2 roofs out front on the 2 East Main Street side. So we have a roof overhang over the main doors that you walk into. And we recognized that there was possibly some weakness to that area. But when we went to replace the gutters, the rain gutters, they stopped their work and said, we're going to need to check the construction and see how much we have to replace before we put rain gutters on. So we're in the process of trying to get a price for that right now. So Reed gave us a quote, but we thought it was lacking. And at this point, we're waiting for a full estimate on the job. And then there's on our back door or side door, you might say, it looks like when we had all that snow come down, it's pushed that roof away from the building. So I'm not exactly sure on either one of these how much damage is hidden and how that's going to be repaired and what the cost is going to be. So you'll remember at the annual town meeting this past March 4th, voters agreed to place an additional $75,000 in the Lands and Fences Capital Fund for future repairs to your favorite place, the dam. A question as to whether there would be an additional ask for monies was answered by me, yes. This was just a start, since we did not have an estimate for the necessary repairs to bring the classification up from significant to good. That's the plan, that's the goal, is to move the dam from significant to good. Since that meeting, I've learned that the estimate will likely top $300,000 plus or minus, probably plus. So here's my basic public statement with regard to people interested in the Lake Rapana Dam. So the project will garner the most interest, especially for residents around the dam. And the town has been working on the Lake Rapana Dam maintenance program for several years now. It began with a number of dam inspections where the dam was initially rated as a low hazard class. In October 2021, Vermont DEC Dam Safety Program determined the dam to be in poor condition. MSK Engineering, located in Bennington, was selected to work with us on this important project since April of 2024. At the end of June in 2024, in consultation with the state, our insurer issued an advance notice of coverage changes, but later agreed that they would work with towns that showed progress in their maintenance of town-owned dams. So essentially, they were telling us that originally the notice came across and it sounded like they were going to drop our insurance, but that's not the case. They've come back around and said as long as we're working toward correction or upgrading our dams, they would basically work with us with the insurance. In August of 24, Following the July 2023 flooding, inspections took place on all dams throughout Vermont, after which the state changed our hazard potential classification. A dam failure downstream flood routing model dated August 29th, 2024 was provided to the town, and the results of the analysis concluded that the hazard potential classification of Lake Raponda Dam should be increased from low to significant. The change requires an EAP, or an emergency action plan, in addition to more rigorous design and construction standards and more frequent inspections. To qualify for continuing liability coverage beyond December of 2025, the town must show that a comprehensive engineering study is underway, and that study has been completed by MSK and is now in the state's hands for their review, after which we will have a final report available. In talking with our engineer regarding the change in state inspections and insurance coverage, it appears that the modeling is no longer based on a 100-year event. That would have been 1% chance of occurrence, but on a 1,000-year event, and that is a 0.1% chance of occurrence, all related to climate change around the globe. This change may require stronger spillway capacity, higher embankments, and enhanced flood control measures to prevent overtopping or failure. Upon implementation of the recommendations presented by MSK, which is currently under state review, the dam will no longer be considered to be in poor condition, but rather eligible to be upgraded to a good condition status. The bottom line from a financial perspective is that the cost of these recommended dam improvements will likely top $300,000, and the recommended construction is expected to last over the next 50 years with routine maintenance. Sorry for being lengthy. I just want to give everyone the history and then bring us up to date where we are now. The transfer station recertification has been submitted, and we're waiting to hear back from the state. And in terms of the Lacombe appeal at 43 Stearns Way, currently it's in the court's hands. We have not entered any mediation yet. That's usually the progress. That's usually the general progress, is that the court will ask us to see if we can come to some agreement. I just remind you that the previous assessment was $276,650. After the statistical reassessment, the value went to $395,120. And that assessment was lowered to $377.10 with the appeals here in the town. Lacombe is asking the town to accept a $314,874 figure, and that means we are $62,136 apart. And that's all I have for you today.
So the courts will turn around and say split that, won't they? That's all they ever do. All right, good. Anyone else have anything for the good of Wilmington?
Would you mute the lights when you leave, please?
Turn the light
It's starting to feel like a seance.
on.
I was hoping just to go into executive session.
Oh, yes, I know. All right, so.
Thank you.
Did you want me to shut the door for the?
Yes, please. Yes, please. All right, Scott. This is for a land purchase. So let me take out my correct. Here. Okay. I move to find that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the town involved in a substantial disadvantage. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I move we go into executive session at 6:54 PM. You include the town manager to discuss confidential communications made for the purpose of providing possible purchase of land
Or lease.
or lease. All right. All those, I'm sorry, do you have a second? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Scott? Come on. Okay, we're coming out of executive session with no action being taken.
It's
All right.
7:05.
7:05.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, that's all right. That's just what I was going to ask for. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Never. Thank you. We're done.
Thank you, gentlemen.